Hey guys, thank you so much for stopping by the garden today. We're going to transplant our succulents. So our little baby propagated leaves are starting to turn into little baby succulents. So I had bought this big terracotta bowl, and we're going to transplant all of them that are pretty big into this container all together. Now we have different varieties. We have little echeverias, we have black knights, and we're going to put some California sunsets in here as well, which are trailing. So some are going to be a rosette type, some are going to grow a little stackier, and then these guys trail over the California sunsets. We have a lot of big ones, which I'll take you outside and show you all our big ones that we're starting to get transplanted in new containers, all terracotta pots, because we live in Florida, Zone 9B, and this heat has been crazy so far. So what I've been doing is working on transplanting things this week, getting all my succulent babies together. As you can see, we have this big tray full of succulents over here, which we're going to start transferring. So I wanted to show you while I was out here how to do this really quick. So you want to grab the big ones, like any one with a leaf on it, I'm pretty much going to leave, but anything like this solely alone, I'm going to plant. And the first thing I'm planting are these little California sunsets. They're like a hybrid. They're either graptosedum or graptopetalum, I forget, but they grow pretty much the same way. So when you take them out, you can see that big root system on them. Look how big that is for these little babies. And that is a great sign. That means you're watering right and they're really happy. They should be nice and plump and look healthy. Now little baby succulents like this are going to need quite a bit of water because they're so small. They don't have any water storage hardly at all, and they only have a little bit of a root system. So we got to be careful when we water this because the container we are putting them in is pretty big. Now this, I'll show you how thick it is. Kind of go to the side here. You can see that it's a good 4 inches big, but it's shallow, so that's going to be perfect for our succulents. When I water, I just got to make sure I water no more than halfway down this container, because then what's going to happen is we can have chance of rot setting in. You know, we don't want these roots to stay wet for too long, and we don't want to overdo it either. So what you want to do is just get your roots snuggled in that hole, push that soil around it. This little tool really helps to make your hole for one, and any big pieces like this I usually get out and save for later. I have a little cup here, I'll show you. We save them in the cup just to make sure we're not putting anything big in here that might disturb our root systems up. Now my babies stay in indirect sunlight. They don't stay in any direct sunlight but maybe 2 hours, 3 hours at night when that sun's just about to go down. So it's not that strong. They're not getting any morning sun, any afternoon sun as of right now. We are going to start acclimating these into direct sun, 2 hours each day, increasing that. And then this way we get up to at least 4 hours for these little babies, because they're getting big now to where they can withstand that sun for a little while. And it's just going to help them grow more. They're going to need a little more water as they get bigger, just less frequent waterings. You know, you got to water all the way through once they get pretty big. Now I'll show you a good size where you can start watering all the way through. But you can see I even put little babies that were propagating on the leaves back here on the edges, because they're going to grow and get big, produce a nice root system for us. So let's go take a look at my succulent cart. This is just the way I transplant my little succulent babies, and I'm not going to water for another 2 days or so, at least a day. So tomorrow night or the next morning I might water, and then, you know, I know they're going to be good enough to where there's no rot setting in. If you disturbed any roots or opened any stem part by popping any leaves off while you transplanted, if you go ahead and water, what'll happen is it'll encourage rot to set in. So make sure when you do water, you try to make this soil stay a little dry before you go ahead and transplant them. You want this to be mostly dry. Now mine's a little bit moist, but it's okay. I'm not really disturbing any root systems, but I wouldn't recommend to do this while your roots are wet, because it can really encourage some rot to set in. We have a little baby hanging on there. Just keep him in this little pot. But yeah, we're going to take all the big guys out. I'm going to do all the little graptosedum guys first, and then we'll move on to my ghosty plants. Not ghosty, they're not a true ghosty. They're more of a graptopetalum paraguaysi. That's kind of what they're called. And that's it, you guys. And if you know, you don't want to really pull. So while you're lifting your succulent up, show you how to kind of take them out without disturbing roots. So you can push up. As long as you go around, now you don't want to disturb any other roots in the pot, of course, or damage them, so push up, and you should get a nice root to pull out for you without damaging anything. Make sure you kind of give them a little tickle, just so they know they can spread their roots. And that's it, you guys. We're going to put them in this indirect sunlight window right here in my lanai. It's a southern exposure, and you can see the bright light it gets. It just don't get any direct light until the night time. Let's go out and take a look at my other succulents we've been transplanting. I can't wait to show you guys. We've been working and working out here. And I also wanted to show you real quick while we're here that I started treating with neem oil, which is an organic product. It's a pesticide and a fungicide, safe around you, your pets, the environment. Just try not to spray directly on bees or by them, because if this gets on them, it can kill them. I've done it, and it's just really terrible to do. So if you do spray neem oil, spray at night, and I wouldn't recommend spraying heavily with anything that has a coating, because I'll show you what it does. It takes the coating off. That is oil. So I mix 2 tablespoons of neem oil per gallon of water with a few drops of Dawn, and that Dawn helps incorporate that neem oil together because it is an oil. And then I go ahead and just focus on the soil. You don't want to touch any leaves. You can just go ahead and get like a little ketchup bottle. Let me show you what I use. Alright, you guys, so these are my 2 go-to watering cans. I love this one because it has a little spout. But you know, if you go and pour this on there without the soil being moist, it's gonna push all around. So usually what I do is go around and just squirt this with the neem oil. I transfer the neem oil in here after I mix it. I just go ahead and squirt and aim towards where I need it to. And these are like $1 in the dollar store. They work great for watering your propagated plants, so you're not overwatering. And you don't have to spray them, because spraying your succulents, I know, can be a bit of a hassle. Let's go outside, guys. I want to show you what I've done. Okay, guys, so we're out front, and I started pulling my succulent cart, the one I had inside, out here. We put a little sunscreen on it. This protects against ultraviolet rays that are really bad for your succulents that tend to burn your leaves. So what we did was wrapped it on, did a little canopy here, like a little gazebo cabana for them, and then I pull them out in the morning about 8 o'clock, and they've been doing a lot better underneath this shade cloth. Look how well they're growing, you guys. Look how big they've been getting. They look so good. I got most of them in terracotta pots already, but we gotta still do a few more. And these succulents are needing water like every other day. Since they're in terracotta pots and they're able to breathe now really easily, you know, terracotta pots absorb salts and minerals as well, and it leaves a coating on the outside of the pot, and that is totally fine. It's like a white powdery coating, and that is only residue salts and minerals from the water. If you have really bad water like we do here, it really damages the plants. You can see they're all acclimating really well, and I'm really happy about that. I still need to transfer a few more into terracotta pots, but we're doing really good. We'll take a look at the bottom too. You can see my California sunset's starting to grow close together. Every color is starting to come out on all my succulents, which I'm really enjoying. And we got this bottom all done too. So take a look at the bottom. Check these out. I want to show you something, guys. So look, this is my Graptopetalum paraguaysi that we transplanted together. Remember we did this a few weeks ago? Remember how bad it was looking? Look at this gorgeous beauty now. Isn't she beautiful? Her leaves are nice and plump. She's so much happier that she's in a terracotta pot and she can breathe. Her leaves are nice and plump because we're giving water every other day to every 2 days. It depends, you know, watering. It's so hard to tell you guys, okay, water, you know, this much on this day at you know, twice a week. That's so hard to tell because it's going to go by, you know, how fast your soil is drying out. What type of soil are you using? Did you add any organic matter in there like we did? We put some earthworm castings in there, but I also added some perlite to make up for the you know, the earthworm castings that were in there. It makes the soil a little more airy and a little better for the succulents. And you can see that a lot of that coating came off because we sprayed with neem oil. I had to spray because I noticed some scale happening. So a little bit of powder on this one came off. Can see, I'll show you up above how bad it got, but these are so beautiful. Their colors are starting to come out. They're starting to get nice and purple. and we're looking good, so we know they're happy. You just have to kind of adjust your watering to your climate, the type of climate you have. You might have to water twice a week in the summer, 3 times a week in the summer, every day in the summer. Depends how small that container is. It depends how fast that soil is drying out. It depends how big that succulent is. Does it have a big established root system? Things like this can go, you know, a few days without watering. They're pretty drought tolerant. She's starting to look absolutely amazing. Going over this pot, we're going to transplant her in a nice terracotta. She's just going to trail all over. This is a little hybrid California sunset. Look how beautiful she's getting. So we treat a bit neem, right? Let me show you guys the spots from the neem, because this is important not to take off. They have white powdery coating, which number one looks ugly, I feel, and number two, it takes that coating off so then they can't protect themselves from sunburn. This is what sunburn looks like. Okay, so some succulents got sunburn this past week, which is why I've been taking the time figuring out a good spot for them to be, and that sunburn will kill off your leaves and they will wither to nothing. If I left these out here before I put the shade cloth on, they would just wither to nothing and burn on me. But because the shade cloth is protecting them from those harmful ultraviolet rays that the sun gives off, you know, it's staying a lot cooler under there, you know, 15 degrees cooler at least, and they're not struggling from any sunburn. I water early in the morning before that sun comes out and starts hitting the leaves. This way I make sure if I did get any leaves, they're nice and dry by the time that sun comes out at like 8, 9 o'clock. Let's go back inside and take a look at the calicoes that we kind of messed up from sunburn. We didn't acclimate them right, so I want to show you what that looks like. Alright, you guys, so these are my flapjacks, okay? And I put them directly outside because I thought they would be okay. They were good in full sun. They were getting like 4 hours, 6 hours of sun, but I thought putting them outside without a shade cloth was going to be okay because they are calicoes and they're very, very tolerant of the heat in the sun. But look, this is burning, and sometimes that just gets damaged, and the new growth will be nice. You know, the new growth, as you can see, is doing fine, but all the stuff that burnt is going to be completely gone. You know, it's just not going to come back. That's what burning looks like on succulents, you guys. And this one took a bad hit. So this one really got damaged. You can see, look. See how the end was so rubbery and flimsy and just wet feeling? It was just really wet feeling, and then it crisped up to nothing. Let me see if I can get a good pic for you. See that? That shouldn't be like that, you guys. If you're noticing this on your succulents, it's too much sun, or you need to invest in like a type of shade cloth that blocks out those ultraviolet rays, because succulents, a lot of my succulents need full sun or they're not going to grow right. So I had to invest in the shade cloth so I can still give them the amount of sun they need, but without burning their foliage like you see here. And that's not going to go away. Like I said, I just gotta kind of wait till it grows out of it, and we'll be good to go, you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm always here for you. We're getting a lot more things set up for you here with succulents. If there's any succulents you would like a video on, things that I'm growing here, let me know. I'd love to help you in any way possible. Our little jade arrangement is doing great. We didn't have to put this in any more sun than what it has been getting. And we're getting about 6 hours here right now. You can see they're inside with these other little plants I love. And we're doing really well. They're nice and healthy, nice and plump. You always want to feel the bottom leaves of your succulents. No matter what succulent you're growing, no matter how big it is, if you feel those bottom leaves and they feel a little deflated, not mushy, you don't want them to feel mushy or wet. Your leaves should not feel wet. If they feel wet and mushy, it kind of means you overwatered. If they get yellow, that's kind of overwatering, and you should back off a little bit, and then it'll dry up. It might take a week to heal. It might take 2 weeks to heal. I do have videos on fixing these jades. These were actually root rotted down to nothing, and check them out. They're just going crazy. So you can fix a lot of rot that happens on your plants. You just have to be mindful, keep an eye on them, make sure they're growing right, make sure they're happy in their environment that they are. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate you stopping by. See you next time out in the garden. Bye-bye.